Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into. Today we're going to talk about AEW and we're going to talk about what we can see right there. The band is back together, baby, because the Undisputed Era has arrived in AEW because Kyle O'Reilly has arrived in AEW. Bit of the worst kept secret, I guess, in pro wrestling at the moment, and that is that Kyle O'Reilly is now All Elite. Last night on Dynamite, the former NXT superstar, former NXT Tag Team Champion, made his AEW debut. Now, at the conclusion of the Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy match, former NXT star Kyle O'Reilly made his surprise debut. I say surprise. I think most people saw it coming. The tease was there last week. But he made his debut in AEW. As the final moments of the match were winding down, Bobby Fish came down to ringside to assist Adam Cole in securing the victory over Cassidy. However, he instead distracted the referee as Kyle O'Reilly made his surprise appearance and attacked Orange Cassidy from behind. Cassidy ended up losing the match after Kyle hit a combination of strikes and Cole hit his finishing knee to the back of Orange Cassidy's head. Now, the original members of the Undisputed Era came together at the end, spending a brief moment in the ring and then fighting off the best friends. There was a little tease of tension from Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, kind of, I guess, bookmarking their feud in NXT and just paying homage to it, because some people would say, I get it's different companies, but you guys are fighting each other a couple of weeks ago. Why are you now suddenly friends again? They referenced it. They referenced it as if to say, bygones speak up, bygones, we're back together. And of course, Adam Cole was teasing a Christmas present. And you don't really tease a present of someone you hate anyway. So I thought that was a nice nod. It was then, after they beat down the best friends, it was then the Young Bucks who came down to the ring and confronted Adam Cole. Now, they had this shot, which I think was fine, but they left it, for me, way too long. So the shot was, you have the Young Bucks on one side of the ring, then you have Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish staring into the hard camera like that, sort of posing as if to say, yeah, Undisputed Era's here. And then you had Adam Cole, who was kind of in the middle, and he was looking back and forth as if to say, yeah, I'm part of the Super Clique. I'm with the Young Bucks, but I'm also part of the Undisputed Era. I was the leader of the Undisputed Era. Sort of conflicted. He was conflicted, and he was looking back and forth between the two stables. It was a great shot, and it was a great tease, but they just took, for me, way too long doing it. Like, I get that they were trying to make sure they got the shot, and they did, but it was just a little bit too long for me. But nevertheless, it was a good shot. So he still looked uncertain as he exited the ring with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, but Kyle O'Reilly is officially All Elite. Now again, this was no surprise. Kyle O'Reilly's signing was teased last week when Adam Cole promised the Young Bucks the best Christmas present they could ask for. And of course, it was Kyle O'Reilly. We've seen the graphic as well. It's officially out there. Tony Khan went on Twitter shortly after the segment concluded, saying that Kyle O'Reilly has officially signed with AEW. So you've got the graphic. Kyle O'Reilly is All Elite. Kyle O'Reilly himself has made his first comments since his AEW debut. He tweeted out, quote, "Life is crazy and I'm very grateful that my professional wrestling abilities have taken me to a new frontier in which to explore my ass-kicking ways. Proud to be a part of AEW and thanks to Tony Khan for the opportunity." He also said, "If you're a fan of mine from elsewhere, I hope you continue to support me. If you're new to Kyle O'Reilly, please prepare to see a man that pours his effing soul into that ring every night and has an unquenchable thirst for cans of whoop-ass." Also, he said, Red Dragon is back. So they are going to be going by the name Red Dragon in AEW, which is very cool, which is very, very cool as well. And as I mentioned, a lot of people are talking about this. We've heard some reactions from Kyle O'Reilly himself. Tony Khan tweeted out, quote, "I'm still amazed we're able to reunite Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly tonight on Dynamite. It doesn't seem like it should have been possible. Still doesn't feel real. The only reason it was possible was because you great fans supporting AEW on TNT." Adam Cole tweeted, quote, "The game has changed." Jim Ross tweeted out, quote, "Great get for AEW. Love Kyle O'Reilly's game. Authentic badass, naturally nasty." Now, we're going to talk a bit about Jim Ross later on. But as far as the segment goes, I thought the match with Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole was good. It was really slow at the start, but it crescendoed nicely. Again, everyone knew that Kyle O'Reilly was going to show up, so when he did, it wasn't the biggest surprise, but it was cool. I think I put this on Twitter today. Trios titles have to be coming. They've been rumored for ages, and they had trios to do it back then anyway, with Jurassic Express, the Elite, Death Triangle with the Lucha Brothers and Pac and Best Friends, all that kind of stuff. They've got plenty of them to do now, but I think we're going to see trios titles in 2022. I think we're going to have a tournament. I think the final of that tournament should be, they won't be called the Undisputed Era, whatever they're going to be called, but the Undisputed Era versus the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. It's a license to print money. And I think Adam Cole is probably best suited to being with the Undisputed Era. Of course, he's got history being with the Elite, but that faction is so crowded, especially when Kenny Omega comes back, that I think it makes sense for Adam Cole to be with his Undisputed Era teammates. I also think as well, I just think back, because it was such a big thing at the time, wasn't it? When the Wednesday Night Wars first started, when NXT moved to the USA Network in October 2019, and that very night, the first 2-hour show on the USA Network, it was Adam Cole, I think, versus Matt Riddle was the opening match for the NXT Championship. The main event featured Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish versus the Street Profits for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The Undisputed Era was NXT at that period of time, and they were going up against the debut edition of Dynamite on TNT. If you would have said to a pro wrestling fan back then, just over 2 years ago, that in 2 years' time, the original members of the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, will all be in AEW and reuniting on Dynamite, people would have laughed at you. People back then were saying that AEW wasn't going to be around in 2 years' time, let alone have the bedrock of NXT on their roster. It's wild. It's wild. And I guess that's a credit to how successful AEW has been, but also it speaks volumes to what happened or what has happened to NXT, and it's wild. But I'm very excited. I'm a huge fan of Kyle O'Reilly in not maybe a singles role, but in the tag team role with Bobby Fish. It's exciting, and it's a new lease of life, and I'm very excited to see what AEW has planned going forward, because we're going to get some great matches, some absolutely fantastic matches from it. Speaking of Dynamite last night, the Holiday Bash edition of Dynamite, we have an official stipulation and rematch date for Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. On last night's edition of Dynamite, the rematch between Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship was officially scheduled for the January 5th, 2022 edition of Dynamite. Of course, that's the first Dynamite of the TBS era. It's going to be in Newark, New Jersey, but we have a stipulation on it. So Bryan Danielson in this segment came down to the ring, well, he was on the ramp, and he spoke about not being 100% for the match because he was wrestling every week leading up to the match facing members of the Dark Order, which of course was his idea, which makes him just the consummate heel of, I wasn't ready because I was wrestling all the time, but it was your idea, Bryan. I don't know. Anyway, he came up with the idea that if we have another 60-minute draw, we will have judges this time. Now, Hangman Page spoke about, I had other ideas, steel cage match, ladder match, Inferno match, Iron Man match, but if you want to have judges, that's fine. We'll have judges. So this is the second time I think they've done the judges gimmick. The first time they had it for Full Gear in 2019, when they had the Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho AEW World Championship match, and the idea was that if it went to a time limit draw, we would have judges. The judges at the time were, I think it was Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, and I want to say Muta was there as well, I think Muta was there. I might be wrong, but I think it was Muta. So it might have been Liger. It was a Japanese legend. Either way, they're going with that gimmick again. Do I expect it to go to the judge's decision? I don't think so. I think Hangman wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if it looks like it's going to go there. In the sense that I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 55 or 56, 57 minutes, and then Hangman Page gets the victory with the buckshot lariat or something like that. I have a feeling that it might look like we're going to go to judges, but you never know. I mean, imagine the heel heat. Imagine the heel heat if Bryan Danielson wins the AEW World Championship via judge's decision. Can you imagine the heat? And given the work that Bryan Danielson has been doing, wouldn't be against it. I know Hangman Page, he's had this over 2-year-long build to being a world champion, and it would be ridiculous to cut it short. But Bryan Danielson is just something else at the moment. He really is. He really is. But I think Hangman wins. But they're going with the judge's gimmick once again. Speaking of last night and the Holiday Bash, we had a really fun main event last night on Dynamite that saw CM Punk team up with Sting and Darby Allin to face MJFTR in the main event. And as you can see right there, we had a nice little tribute by Sting and CM Punk to each other. Sting changed up his iconic face paint and featured the the straight edge wrist X's and tape on his face paint, which is awesome, by the way. CM Punk also donned the face paint in a homage to Sting's earlier days in his career. Surfer Sting, maybe even Blade Runner Sting, it's a bit, but his Surfer Sting was CM Punk. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the main event. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It really, really was. MJF was lucky not to break his neck, it must be said. He did a spot where Sting did like a hip toss over the top rope to the outside, and FTR caught him, but MJF just landed straight on his head. It was nasty. And then Sting went to the top rope. Not only did MJF land on his head, but then Sting went to the top rope and dove onto the outside. And you know me, guys. I'm not ashamed to hold my hands up when I say that I'm wrong. The video's out there. When it was announced that Sting was coming into AEW, I was for it. When the announcement was made that he was going to be wrestling, I was very critical because I was worried. And let's face it, I was just worried. And the fact that he was in his 60s. But I'm more than happy to say I've been proven massively wrong by Sting. That main event last night was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Was it the best match ever? No, it wasn't. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was Sting's first match in Greensboro in, I don't know how many years. We're talking 20 plus years, something like that. It was insane. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and it furthered the MJF CM Punk drama because Punk didn't really get his hands on MJF. They did a spot as well where MJF just sprinted through the crowd and CM Punk just chased him around the arena, which was a lot of fun. It was just a fun main event, and yeah, I enjoyed it immensely. And Sting, the guy's in his 60s, and the face paint and all that helps him sort of hide his age as well. But you have to give AEW credit for the way they've used Sting in this run so far. And I don't want to be like AEW versus WWE or anything like that, or say, see, AEW can use legends and WWE can't, all that kind of stuff. But when you see what they've been doing with Sting, and if you gave him, a schedule like this in WWE, you could have had him on weekly television. When was the last time Sting missed an episode of Dynamite? He's missed a few, but not many, since he arrived a year ago, and he's worked matches, and it's great. It's great, and I have to give credit to AEW and to Sting as well for the way that he's working. It's incredible, and it was a lot of fun last night. I really did enjoy it. Speaking of next week, though. So we had the Holiday Bash last week, and we have New Year's Smash next week, and it's going to feature the return of good old JR Jim Ross. AEW fans will be delighted to learn that legendary announcer Jim Ross will officially be returning to the commentary table for the upcoming New Year's Smash episode next Wednesday, December 29. Ross has been absent from the show as he combats skin cancer, something he was recently diagnosed with. In recent interviews, Ross has made it clear that his intention was to always be back for the new year. They mentioned it last night. Got a huge pop that he's going to be back, as they mentioned, in his new hometown of Jacksonville, because he does have a place, a condo now in Jacksonville. Throughout the pandemic, he's been living there. Occasionally, he goes back to Oklahoma. You'll see it if you listen to his podcast. Even infrequently, he spends a lot of time in Jacksonville. Hence why they're saying in his new hometown of Jacksonville, and I think that's where he's getting all of his treatment as well. But we have some matches also announced for the show next week as well. We have the last semi-final match in the TBS title tournament between Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa. Of course, Ruby Soho defeated Nyla Rose last night to advance to the finals. We'll also see the first match involving the Undisputed Era in AEW. We spoke about them earlier. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish will be facing Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. It was also announced that Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia will get their hands on each other once again in a match featuring Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz versus Garcia and 2.0. So it's a big show announced for next week. But you know what? A lot of people, myself included, have been critical of Jim Ross and his commentary at points over the last, to be honest, his entire run in AEW. But the last couple of weeks, in fairness, you do notice that he's gone. Whether for better or for worse, there is something different about not having Jim Ross on the show that does feel like it's a little bit lacking at times, And he's still Jim Ross. This is what I always say. Is he the Jim Ross of the Attitude Era? No. Is he the Jim Ross of the Ruthless Aggression Era? No. Is he Jim Ross in WCW in 1990 and whatever? Or Jim Ross in Mid-South? No, he's not. But he's still Jim Ross. And he's got that just presence of being on the show. Yes, there's awkward moments. There's always going to be awkward moments. He's like 70 years old, but he's still Jim Ross. And I'm just hopeful that he gets healthy as soon as possible. He's going to be back next week. He's going to beat this skin cancer thing, and he's going to be around for a while. And I'm really glad to see it. So excited to hear Jim Ross back on the microphone next week. Finally, Tony Khan has spoken about the possibility of Danhausen coming in to AEW. Of course, Ring of Honor is going to be no longer running shows during its hiatus. And Danhausen, like with everyone else on the Ring of Honor roster, is going to be released from his contract. Now, of course, Danhausen is suffering from an injury at the moment. He's got a broken ankle, broken leg. But he did appear at the Jericho Cruise, and a lot of people, myself included, think he's a shoe-in to become All Elite in the future. Tony Khan has spoken about the possibility of Danhausen coming into AEW. He said, quote, "He was on the Jericho Cruise interacting with a lot of AEW wrestlers, and that was great. He's had an injury recently, so that's something to keep an eye on for sure. But he's got a big following, and he does sell some merch, and he's a very nice guy. So he's got a lot of things going for him. Now, as I mentioned, Danhausen is currently recovering from surgery. He broke the tibia and fibia bones in his left leg during a match at an independent show on Halloween night. I think, as I mentioned, he's the perfect fit. He really is the perfect fit of what AEW is all about. I know people say comedy, goofy, all that kind of stuff. Pro wrestling is not, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Danhausen can work as well, but Danhausen's got this thing that, a lot of wrestlers, even comedy people, don't. He's got crossover appeal. He's very popular on social media and on YouTube, and people will laugh, but that does count for something nowadays. And like Tony Khan says, he sells a ton of merch. It's like Orange Cassidy. First of all, we had a great match with Adam Cole last night, but also Orange Cassidy sells a ton of merch for AEW, even if it is from PWTs. He sells a ton of merch, and Danhausen would be the same. And also as well, look, Danhausen, he's already appeared on the Conan O'Brien podcast. They've got that link anyway. Conan, I know, is not on TBS anymore. It's going to be on HBO Max next year, but it's the perfect fit. The guy that's inspired by Conan O'Brien to be on a TV or be part of a pro wrestling company that is on TNT and TBS, part of the Warner Media Network. The crossovers are endless there. So I think Danhausen will go into AEW in the future. I really do. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these AEW news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Got the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have a I was talking so fast. Or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak with you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.